I served in Spokane, Washington, and the culture might be a bit different from the Marshall Islands just because it's been very much Americanized, but especially amongst the younger generations. But it always seems to me that they had a very welcoming and warming culture. They were always inviting us in, and they would have us sit in the seats. Well, if they didn't have enough seats, they would sit on the floor, and they would feed. They'd always ask us, "Mangai mogda, mangai Aliktata," or "Mangai elegin kadageo." So, do you want to eat before or after the lesson? And they would always feed us, and so it was quite frustrating. I shouldn't say frustrating. It was quite grueling having to go from house to house to house to house, just eating constantly all day. And it was generally the main part of the dish was rice, and so you got full very fast. But and you gained weight. But other parts of the culture that were just so wonderful, where they all very much knew that Jesus Christ was their Savior, and that they loved Him, and that they loved God. They were very family oriented. They always had parties revolving around family and the birthdays and Christmas. They threw lavish parties, and it was just wonderful. Things about the culture also that have changed over the years, for example, is their viewpoints on the females in their society. Women generally in the past, not that they had been looked down on, but they had a different role to play than nowadays. Women, if men were talking, women could, and women was to pass them, they had to scoot on their knees, so that essentially, if two men are standing, they have to scoot on their knees so that they weren't higher than the men's faces. Also, if men are watching TV or sitting down, the women can never be higher than the man, so they even have to get on their knees or even almost crawl, because they need to be lower than the man. But these are more like old traditions, and some of the newer generations follow it, but the newer generations, again, like I said, more Americanized. A lot of them, some of them don't even learn Marshallese anymore, but again, the core things about in their traditions, eating, family, God, and enjoying life are all there. And it's just wonderful that they had this tight-knit, and one of the most wonderful things that I love about them is that they all know each other and they're all pretty much related. So if you want to get to know one of the Marshallese that just moved in, you can just talk to any one of them and they know exactly who they are. And this is something I wish that the culture I grew up in, just here in Utah, would learn a little bit more fully, to the more welcoming of everyone in, that when someone walks in your house, you take off your shoes, and that you're very respectful, very polite to your guests, and that you always put your family above anyone else.